From Citi Field, the Florida Marlins take on the New York Mets. This Mets game on SNY is presented in HD by IOTV. Get the best in HD free with IOTV. Hi everybody, I'm Ron Darling. This is Keith Hernandez. We gave Gary the night off. We're going to try a little experiment here to see if you and I can do a game together.
Well, it's going to be the Keith and Ron show tonight, so you got something to look forward to, folks.
Well, the show that's going to be on the field, though, is led by Carlos Beltran, who came back in last night's game.
Well, Carlos, who missed 70 games on the season, made his return last night, sorely missed by this Met ball club. Reyes, Delgado, Beltran with a big three that were out all year. 1 for 4 last night, almost hit a grand slam down the right field line. That would have won the ball game. And of course, Ronnie flashed the 3-time Gold Glove leather last night with that terrific catch in center field. He was sorely missed. He is going to be in the lineup tonight. It adds much more depth to this lineup.
You know, Keith, we got a really good matchup pitching tonight. Pat Mitchell really has been the Mets' best starter in his last couple of starts. He got his first big league win, of course, getting it in his last start against the Colorado Rockies. He'll be facing Ricky Nolasco, who's really struggled against the Mets, and he started out the season 2-5. But now he's righted the ship. He's got it to 10-3, and this should be a real good matchup against the Florida Marlins and the New York Mets with Nolasco and Mish. So remember, when you're getting off that subway today, don't make a right to the U.S. Open. Make a left over here to Citi to watch the Marlins and the Mets. IOTV. Get the best in HD free with IOTV. By Gallagher Steakhouse, home of the sports heroes, past and present, in Broadway's Theater District at West 52nd Street since 1927. By Bud Light, with just the right taste that never fills you up. The difference is drinkability. By Pella Windows, the Mets' official window and door replacement company. Call 866-64-PELLA Pella for special savings today. And by the Rums of Puerto Rico, inviting you to enjoy the finest rums of the world.
And Met fans, the Citi Field Fan Walk, Amazing Moments bricks are on sale now. A new offering of bricks will be installed along the first and third base sides of the Jackie Robinson Rotunda for the 2010 season. Order your Fan Walk brick today at Mets.com FanWalk. All proceeds benefit charity through the Mets Foundation.
Well, Marlon Byrd, you can see for those Texas Rangers who are pushing the Red Sox, he's 9 for his last 14. Gonzalez with a home run and 3 RBIs as the Giants are starting to wilt a little bit in the summer heat. And Pujols 2 more home runs in that win over the Brewers. Adam Wainwright with his 18th win.
And Carlos Zambrano, the win. You see Pat Mish, his 8th win of the season. The home runs are 47th. 47 home runs for Pujols this year for the Cardinals. What a year.
Back with the ball game next.
Chris Coughlin leading off. Boy, he's had a great start since getting called up. A chance for Rookie of the Year. He's put himself in the running. Hanley Ramirez, red hot. Looks like he is going to be the National League batting champion this season, Ronnie.
Boy, just a sea of humanity, isn't it, Keith? With all the people going to the U.S. Open, of course, coming here to Citi Field to watch Pat Mish pitch. Melanie Oudin is playing tonight, I believe, in that big matchup of the Georgia Peach, the American who's gone to the quarterfinals. Here, Pat Mish, 2 starts so far this year, got his first big league win in his last start. He's pitched beautifully for the Mets. Both times was able to stay under the 100 pitch mark over 7 innings.
And we'll take a look at the Lexus Metsi defense. And Pagan, 2 errors in 63 games this season. With Carlos Beltran back in center field, folks, look at the outfield defense, how much improved it is now. With Pagan in left field and Francoeur in right, Beltran patrolling center. That is as fine a defensive outfield as there is.
Well, there's Jose Reyes. For all you Mets fans, today was photo day, team photo day. So you had Santana back, Jose Reyes, everyone here to take their final photo here in September. And Ricky Nolasco with pitching coach Mark Wiley making that long walk in from the bullpen. One of the greatest things about starting a game, Keith, is that walk. There's so many things that go through your head because you don't know what's going to happen in the next 2.5 hours. You hope it's a good thing.
And you know something, Ronnie, when as an everyday player, when I used to watch you walk in, or Doc or anybody, we're kind of wondering, I hope they're in the right frame of mind tonight. I hope they got their good stuff.
Did you ever say, boy, I hope the game's quick? Did you ever say that?
Well, we always said that. We always wanted a fast game. You kidding?
That's right. Well, Chris Coughlin is coming up for the Florida Marlins. Has been outstanding. Look at that average. It's all MLB rookies, but he's shown us a toughness in last night's ball game. He made a great catch against Pagan in the first inning, going into the stands. They just love his makeup. Remember, he came up as an infielder. They just threw him in left field because they needed someone out there, and he's responded.
Well, he's not. You can see the defense right now where they're playing. They're shading in the outfield to pull on young Coughlin.
First pitch of the game down. The thing you like about Pat Mish that you've really enjoyed, Keith, is his ability to pitch the left-handers in. You saw that against Colorado.
In Colorado, he pitched both lefties and righties in. And I think the interesting statistic, Ron, that we saw on Mish was the fact that he's tougher on right-handers thus far than lefties. It just goes to show, Ronnie, you don't have to throw 110 miles an hour to win in the big leagues. And if you make your good pitches and you've got good secondary pitches like Mish, you're going to win.
I think I've been impressed watching Pat Mish pitch so far is that he's almost, I want to say, a poor man's Tom Glavine. He throws a little harder than Tommy did at the end of his career, but he mixes in that good changeup. There's a lefty right there, Danny Worthington, the pitching coach for the New York Mets.
Well, you see the splits there on Mish. And he has not given up home runs either. There's a routine grounder right there, and the ball game is underway. Nope. Nick Johnson, Ron, stepping up to the plate, and someone who's really a professional hitter, and has just been career marred with serious injury. He was hurt at Old Shea severely on a pop-up in shallow right field. A guy that has a great eye at the plate, great on-base percentage. Got hurt when he got traded over from Washington. He pulled a hamstring and he missed around 15 games for this ball club, and now he's back in the lineup.
Well, I think what you're really impressed about also, Keith, is that he plays both sides of the ball. He's a fine defensive player also.
I love Mish throwing inside. This is what I saw in Colorado, Ronnie. But not afraid to throw in. And you got a guy not throwing in the mid-90s here.
And he's not going to be able to miss in against Hanley Ramirez sitting on deck. Well, tough play right there for Mish. That ball inside on Johnson, who's not running very well, so he's going to be content with a single. But you'll watch again, Keith, inside jams Nick Johnson, but he's able to, with a strength, muscle that ball over Wright's head.
And I think he got a little bit of the plate, Ron, and this is a little blooper right here. He just muscled it out. You called it. And most players right now that are healthy would have been a double, but Johnson with that tender hamstring is not running well, and now Mish has to face this young man who is leading the National League in hitting, and boy, he hit a 2-run blast last night.
Well, just another bullet by Ramirez to left field. He just, right now, it doesn't seem like you can get him out as Pagan gets that ball back into the infield.
Well, I've talked with him, and there's the grip, Ron, on his fastball.
Mish just doing what you're supposed to do, trying to get ahead, trying to get an out on one pitch. But Ramirez right now doesn't look like he's going to allow you to do that.
This is the ball that had too much plate, and just lets go with that one hand. He's so strong. And I like his approach. I talked to him in Florida the last time the Mets were down, and he just goes up the middle looking fastball.
Well, I hate to say this, is you never want to see Pat Mish, as Jorge Cantu comes up, give up hits. But can you imagine if we'd gotten a no-hitter and Gary wasn't in the booth tonight? Oh, he would never talk to us.
That might be a good thing.
Well, another one off the end of the bat there by Cantu. Here comes Beltran, which changes it completely when he plays center field. Even though Nick Johnson doesn't have a lot of speed, Beltran with that great arm keeps the bases loaded for Mish and the Mets.
Well, 2 bloops in this inning and 1 ball hit hard has put Mish with the bases loaded here. Anybody but Nick Johnson running is going to score in this ball, but Nick with the tender hammy is not even. It looks like he's 50%. So Mission now in dire need of a double play.
Well, it was interesting to see the young Tolley go out to talk to Pat Mish. In that circumstance, what you really want to do as a catcher, Keith, you want to come out and assure your pitcher, hey, listen, you've made some good pitches. You've given up a couple of bloop hits, not including the Ramirez hit. Just settle down and get yourself a ground ball.
A notorious fastball hitter here in Ugla.
Well, you know, when we watch these little encounters between a home run hitter like Ugla, who will swing and miss a lot, you have to be very careful inside. He's got very short arms, and he's very good at hitting that fastball that's in on his hands.
Well, that ball got by Murphy there. David throwing that in between Hop. I thought David could have set himself. Now, David makes the nice play. He could have gone to second base. I would have told David to go to second for the double play. He still had Ugla at first with a good throw, but the throwing off balance, I think he had time to set himself, Ronnie. You know, make a strong throw.
You know what you can do sometimes, Keith, is you can use that bag as leverage. You can use it to push off, stand up straight and high, and throw a strike. I think first base was his only play.
If Hanley Ramirez is hustling there around third base, there's 2 outs. He scores in that ball.
Well, Johnson looking at his bat, see if he broke that bat with that bloop hit of his. As Cody Ross comes to the plate.
I like what Mish did there. He went inside. Another dangerous fastball hitter, guess hitter in Ross. Well, bases loaded, 1 out, Ronnie. If Mish gets out of this with 1 run, that's a plus. See Ugla at first with 2 out. Cantu at second.
One of the things, Keith, when you're a starting pitcher in the major leagues, and to a lesser degree a relief pitcher, is managing innings, being able to get out of trouble with the least amount of damage, and this has a chance here. Very interesting. The last game against Colorado, Mish and Tolley were on the same wavelength, no shaking off, and right now they're working very slowly, so they haven't gotten on the same page yet.
Mish should have been out of this inning with no runs. And you can see there is a little bit of a miscommunication there. Maybe they want to change the signs, Ron?
I don't know if they want to change the signs. I think I saw this in last night's ball game. We know Josh Tolley's playing 2 nights in a row now. In last night's ball game with a runner on second, he tends to go a little slow with his signs, and I think that's part of the learning process. And sometimes as a pitcher, you start to get a little stale. You want to go a little quicker.
They're going back in. Ross is one of those hitters that, like I said, is a guess hitter. With runners on base, he likes to look for that breaking ball, particularly off right-handers, and go to the opposite field. And that ball's out of here.
Now, with these right-handed hitters for the Florida Marlins, just a tough row to hoe for Pat Mish. Trying to pitch inside. When you do miss. Guys like Ross and Ugla are going to make you pay for it.
Well, it's a pitch up in the strike zone, and Mish coming in. Remember now, this is Mish's first start here at Citi Field in front of the New York fans. He might be a little bit, you know, have the jitters, wants the ball in. Look where it is, right down Broadway and up.
And that was the key, Keith. Up in the strike zone. Ross now with his 21st home run, 79 RBIs. And he crushed that ball that was middle.
Well, much like last night, Marlins getting off quick. And this is a Marlin team that is kind of hanging around, and they can't afford to lose very many ball games. It's going to be, the Phillies struggling right now. They're close enough where they might make a run, but Philly has to come back to them. But in the wild card, they can't afford to lose.
Well, you'll see, Keith, here this IOTV pitch differential. Once that ball down, that ball is about 6 or 8 inches up and more of the middle of the plate. One of the things you have to do when you pitch to Josh Tully, you have to throw to his shin guards because he does have a high sign. Paulino takes one to right field, but Citi Field is going to contain that one. Tough start for Pat Mish and the Mets. 4-0 Florida Marlins.
Back in left field, 8-game hitting streak, as you see. The same lineup as last night. And look what Carlos Beltran in that lineup at the cleanup spot allows Jerry Manuel to hit David Wright third. Murphy and Francoeur gives a much more obvious depth to that lineup that's been so sorely missed this season.
Well, Ricky Nolasco, we talked about it before, started 2-5, now 10-8, 37-29 career. 20 home runs, though, he's given up this season in 152 innings pitched. Keith, sometimes you just struggle. Nolasco, who I think is a really excellent pitcher, has always struggled against the Mets. 2-6 lifetime.
He's got a great slider. And it's not so much of a big breaker, Ronnie. It's a deceptive slider. And it looks to me, from the camera angle behind center field, it looks deceptive. Yeah. There's that big breaker right there. It's a big down break there.
He's got all 4 pitches. He's got the fastball, curveball, slider, and change. And his problem sometimes, he doesn't always, he tries to establish all 4 in the first inning instead of keeping it a little more simpler. The shake-off already of Ronnie Paulino as Angel Pagan will step out. He was humbled. They sent him back to the minors early this year after winning 15 last year, and he's responded.
Well, they had the same problem with Anibal Sanchez. They sent him down last year. And there's his changeup right there. And Pagan really getting a chance to play, Ron, with all the injuries in the outfield, and really done a great job offensively. Played a very good center field. Fastball away.
Bullet up the middle from Angel Pagan, who just keeps on hitting here at Citi Field.
And a 9-game inning streak for Angel.
One thing about Nolasco Velasco that I will say is that when you watch his fastball, as Ronnie Polino, the catcher, will give him the sign, fastball away. The one thing that you can look at in his game is that his fastball is pretty straight.
And this has too much plate. It's down, but right down the pipe. You see the catcher reaching over to get it, the backhand. And good hitting by Angel, and a base running threat this early in the game. Yes, give him the green light. Let him, if he gets the jumps, take it.
Well, Velasco is pretty quick to the plate. He's got an excellent move to first base, but Angel with 13 steals on the season. So we see Louis Castillo was just cannot get him out here at Citi Field.
Well, so many of the parks today, the brand new parks, have such great hitting backgrounds. And you see the background there in center field. In the old days, there used to be at Wrigley Field where fans sat out there in center field around where that apple was with white shirts on, and you couldn't pick up the ball. There's a ground ball right there, jammed by Castillo, jammed, and Ugla correctly going to first base for the sure out. And that's where you got to pitch, Louis. Ronnie, don't you think?
I think you absolutely, because if you keep serving him outside, he'll serve that ball to left field. Velasco, what he chose to do, this is that little slider cutter that you like, Keith, that just bores in on the left-handed hitter and just broke his bat.
Tough pitch to lay off, reminiscent of that Montreal Expo pitching staff back when I played. Charlie Lee, Scott Sanderson, Bill Gullickson, they all threw that hard cutter in. And of course, they had the Hall of Fame catcher back there calling for him, Gary Carter.
David Wright, current homestand, 2 for 16 with 8 strikeouts. That has really been the one bane for David, and Jerry Manuel addressed that before the game. Just talking about, is he concerned that David's power numbers have gone down? He said, no, I wouldn't be concerned, but I'm concerned because his strikeout numbers are still going up, and that's the problem.
Well, he got off to a real quick start with the strikeouts. Looks like to me, Ron, watching David hit, he struck out twice last night, 0 for 4. They've been pitching him out, you know, it's up and in, low and away. Come on, yeah. High and tight, low and away. It's
hasn't changed in 1,000 years.
Baseball 101, and they're showing David in and then throwing him the breaking stuff away, and it looks to me like that outside corner looks like it's probably, in David's eye, looks like it's 15 feet away. You're having a tough time covering that outside corner. They're going back in.
Let me be devil's advocate then. If you come off the disabled list after spending 15 days after you've got hit in the head, is the outside pitch always going to be the one that's going to give you trouble early or no?
Well, it depends on the individual. Everybody's different. I mean, you've got to get. I got hit in the head in Atlanta, and David stands reasonably close to the plate. That's about normal. But you got to get back up there and face the demons. See David's strikeouts this season as compared to the last, what, 5 years? You know, it's considerable.
Yeah, I don't know if this would be in David's defense, but I will say that I've played on teams where a lot of the star players have gone down. One star player is left, and you'll see him tend to go out of the strike zone to try to do too much sometimes to do everything for the team by himself.
That's a very good point, Ron. Trying to hit the 8-run home run. Oh, there's that big hook. You can see it starts at 1 o'clock on the dial and breaks 1 o'clock on the dial and breaks to 7 o'clock. That's a nice breaking ball. Good eye by David.
That's good spot.
Nice pitch. Tough pitch to lay off.
Went down on the changeup. Paulino was able to block it. He's going to have to get the out here at first base. Velasco, we've seen now fastball, curveball, and then a changeup to get David right. What I like about Velasco is how he stays so close. You can barely see. Hides that ball very, very well. And when you're at a hitter, bounce that baseball. A lot of times they will chase. Paulino, like Josh Tolle, a very high target for today's catcher.
Mr. Beltran, second game in the lineup. In the Ford Marlin defense, and you can see 11 errors in 112 games. This was a Marlin team that not known for its defense. And Nick Johnson, when they acquired him, brought a great glove over to first base. Interesting, they went right after Carlos' first pitch, inside, up and in. And Carlos swung the bat great last night, by the way, I felt. How about that? Right back in there, Ronnie.
Yeah, he only had those 5 games in Brooklyn to get ready, but you're right, Keith. I think the bat speed is there. 2 tough pitches from Nolasco, but you will see a steady diet of curveballs from Nolasco to Beltran when he gets ahead.
And he loves that changeup right now. And that would be a good pitch, Ronnie, to a left-hand hitter.
See the shoulder, Keith, that front shoulder. See how he tucks that shoulder, the chin into the shoulder, and kind of looks over the back of his number. That is a good thing to do if you're a pitcher, because you're hiding the baseball. Very hard for hitters to pick it up. Ground ball to short. Ramirez with the play. And the Marlins 4-0 after 1. The Mets fail to score. Strand 1.
To end the inning, Ronnie. I don't know. I think he's still going to stay in the game. I don't know.
I think so too. He might put a brace on. Let's watch him run down to first base. Well, here he's just talking to Ray Ramirez and pointing to the top of his foot. You're right.
Yep. So maybe it's something innocuous, and we'll show you the running down to first. He's coming back in this ball game. I think he's getting a new pair of shoes. We'll watch him running to first.
Well, he's running great right there. Doesn't seem to pull up at all. You know, he has that little ankle guard that he wears to ward off the foul balls. You wonder maybe it affected him on the run down to first base, but you can't be too happy about that if you're Jerry Manuel, because this has been like Groundhog Day, hasn't it, for this manager?
Well, Jerry said on his pregame interview that it's been a learning year for him, and he's never experienced the amount of key injuries to a ball club he's ever managed or been a coach in the major or minor leagues. Ronnie, you think Mish should be throwing here, or is he all right?
I think what he's going to do, because he figures that Beltran, by the time he comes out of the dugout, that'll give him approximately maybe 5-6 tosses before he's ready in center field to play, that he's going to wait and not waste any of those bullets.
I think he's changing shoes.
Well, sometimes when you're coming back from leg injuries, sometimes you'll eschew the spikes and wear the plastic kind of cleat, and maybe he's going to go back to the other pair. Well, that's a good sign for Mets fans. Beltran takes to center field.
Well, a little drama here early in the ball game.
Well, Beltran's back in center, but the drama really is for Pat Mish. When you give up a 4 spot in the first inning, you've got to be almost perfect through the next few innings to give your team a chance to get back in this ball game.
Well, he's going to start out with the bottom of the order, Cameron Maybin, who hit a 2-run shot last night right into the apple out there with a 408 sign in dead central, and displayed some tremendous power. Only his second home run, as you see on the year.
I guess it shows you what kind of talent he has when you can hit one over the center field wall, and then the next time up starts this game off with an attempted bunt.
Well, here it is last night, a hanging slider from Tim Redding, and that's 3. It's good.
Boy, both pitchers. You see this, Keith, a lot of trouble between the catcher and pitcher trying to get a rhythm going. People at home are probably saying, well, why does that really matter? Well, for a guy like Pat Mish, getting a little tempo is going to always improve his control. Been a little off so far. Pop up down that right field line is Murph with the catch in foul territory. You know, the great thing about Josh Tolley, that he was able to catch the bullpen of Pat Mish when he was in Colorado. And what happens is the starting catcher usually will go and get loosened. They will run, get their legs loose, and then they'll go out usually to catch the last 5 minutes of the bullpen of the starting pitcher to see what kind of stuff he has.
Did Gary Carter do that with you?
Yes, he would. Sometimes when it would get later in his career, when his knees were starting to bother him, he would not always do that, but understandably so. You had to love the kid. It didn't matter how hurt he was. He loved to be out there playing. Ricky Nolasco, not too bad of a hitter. 6 for 39 this year, 3 RBIs and 9 sacrifice bunts. Hit there by Nolasco, but with the pitcher running, Anderson Hernandez can take his time. Follow the Mets on your iPhone and iPod Touch with MLB.com at Bat 2009, featuring play-by-play, video highlights, and live audio broadcasts. Visit Mets.com on your iPhone or iPod Touch to purchase.
Well, nice backhand by Anderson, who really has played a nice shortstop this homestand thus far. Had a little trouble on the road. Didn't show a lot of range, but he's really played a really nice shortstop so far this homestand.
You know, when I watch Anderson play short, I don't think it's that he can't play shortstop. He just looks so much more comfortable when he's at second base. Not only defensively, but also seems to be more at home offensively when he's at his regular position. How do you like Codwin, Keith? Do you think he's a keeper?
I haven't seen enough of him yet. He didn't get a base hit last night. He was 0 for 4 with a walk and a run scored. You know, it's hard to judge on just seeing a player for one time. That's the beauty of, you know, when you had the 2 divisions, Ron, and you played, you know, in division 3 times, and you saw the other division, the other teams twice. You can form more of a judgment as opposed to just seeing a guy 6 games out of the year. Oh, that got him. And that hurts. And that's a wrist. Oh, he's tough.
Well, I tell you, that's a sign as a pitcher. You like those tough guys that roll around, and that hurt Coughlin, but he got up and got to first base. But like you said, Keith, those are always a scary part for the everyday player in the wrist.
And again, though, Ronnie, it lets Coughlin know that, okay, if you want to step in there, you know, I might miss one inside and put a hurt on you here, and this is perfectly fine. It's got him on the ulna underneath, on the forearm near the wrist.
It got his Coors Light freeze can. Looks like it got him on the left wrist, right, Keith?
Yes, and it might have been just above the wrist on the forearm. Yep. That hurts. But it looks like he had that protective little pad on there. It might have helped him.
When hitters have a little protective pad there, it tells you one thing, that they catch a lot of balls there when they're hitting. Coughlin did not turn his back and caught one on the wrist.
I always felt, Ron, that Major League Baseball should have never allowed the hitters to wear protective armor.
Yeah.
Outside the helmet, of course. Remember the old days when they had the little tube out there, the ethyl chloride they sprayed? It was called Freeze.
It's like an aluminum tin, right? And they used to spray it on you?
Did absolutely nothing. That's why it's gone. So you see Mitch pitching inside. And this is what Feliciano did last night. And I always felt that Feliciano against left-handers could throw more inside. And he tied up and struck out a very tough out in Nick Johnson last night because he pitched him inside.
Well, we've watched Mitch a while now. He hasn't shown much of a move to first base. You know, the only difference, Keith, is that he is pitching inside, but against Colorado, he was throwing strikes inside, and that makes the hitter much more cognizant in there. If you're not throwing it for strikes, they start to look away.
Big lead.
You have 2 outs and a 2-1 count. Johnson's got to think he's going to get a pitch when we just saw Mr. Ramirez on deck. And he didn't. Here's the wild card standings. The Rockies
have kind of taken command, haven't they?
They really have. Although, like you said, the Giants are trying to do it with pitching alone. Although Tim Lincecum missed the start because of inflammation in his back, and that is a killer if he can't pitch.
The Giants have gotten 2 wins from Brad Penny.
That's jam there, Nick Johnson. So playable for Francoeur in right field. Top of the second. 4-0 for the Marlins. Daniel Murphy up for the Mets. You can see him showing the blue of his socks today. When hitters sometimes don't get any hits, Keith, they'll change it up a little bit.
So we got word from our famed PR man Jay Horowitz, longtime PR man, that Carlos Beltran merely had to get retaped, that he was getting pinched probably by too tight a tape around the crease of the ankle.
Ground ball there by Murphy. Nice play by Johnson. Takes it himself for the first out.
Well, we got the Dunkin' Donuts Ask the Booth here, and I guess it's addressed to me. Do you think Murphy has matured at the plate over the course of the season? Of course, you always mature. Things didn't go as he had hoped, but he's pushed that average up to close to 260. He got pitched inside. We've always made note of that all year long, and there's an adjustment there, and you got to prove to the pitcher that you can hit that ball in, and Murphy's pulled a little more.
Jeff Francoeur, of course, first pitch hitting on that curveball from Nolasco. Easy play from Ramirez for the second out.
You know, the one thing that I've seen from Murph is that he doesn't like the ball in. Most hitters don't like the ball in. Is to learn to lay off the up and in fastball or the hard cutter in, and don't get worried in, and still look to your strength out there over the plate, and then once in a while look in, and that comes with experience. And I think those are the things, if I was going to tell Daniel Murphy, is to really just to try to stay disciplined, to lay off that up and in fastball. It's not a pitch he likes. It's you know, if you drew like the Ted Williams of that SI cover where Ted Williams hit, Ted didn't like the ball low and away. You know, Ted down the middle hit over 400 in a lot of pitches, but Ted Williams low and away was like 230. Well, Daniel Murphy up and in is like 210.
Well, Josh Toll, easy inning here for Nolasco as Uggla makes the play for the third out. Still 4-0 Florida Marlins, the New York Mets. Ortiz, Keith, that's your favorite place, isn't it?
Just back behind the center field scoreboard, and I tell you what, my favorite. I'm a little partial to the pork tacos myself.
Not the carne asada.
When you see the batting champ right here, well, not the batting champ, the league's leading hitter, with that base hit in the first inning, now hitting 360, and it doesn't look like Pujols is going to catch young Hanley Ramirez.
Boy, first pitch swinging again. Ramirez pop up to Luis Castillo for the first out for Mish. Mish has had a hard time, but he finally threw a strike there. The 12 batters he's faced, only first pitch strike to 6 of them.
Well, we'll watch the swing here. Beautiful balance. He just got jammed. A little bit of a long swing. Who's going to complain about that? And he's mad at himself because this pitch has got some plate.
It's almost like he jammed himself,
Yep.
right?
Yeah, you can see the ball made contact just above the label. When we talk about jamming yourself on an off-speed pitch, folks, is that you read the changeup and you go up, you're going up the middle and you're striding at the pitcher and you wait too long. And it's mistime, but it's usually the changeup wants to get you out in front. Well, the hitter gets himself out by swinging too late, believe it or not, on a changeup. It happens.
And I think what happens to the hitter is that you get so despondent because that is a pitch that you feel like you should crush.
And then you come back to the dugout and you say, what was that? And you say, it was a changeup. I jammed myself.
Ground ball here by Cantu. David Wright over to Murphy for the second out for Pat Mish, who seems to have settled down after that tough first inning. That was the AT&T high-speed pitch, 93 miles an hour for Mr. Nolasco, and that's what you're going to see from Pat Mish. He'll probably top out usually under 90, 88, 89 miles an hour.
Remember, there's a lot of left-handers as you look at Dan Uggla getting up to the plate here. Uggla, 25 home runs on the year, 240, lots of strikeouts. It's an ugly year.
Again, Pat Mish and Josh Tolley having a little trouble just generating a little bit of rhythm. As Mish has been a little undecided. You know, people always say they'll argue that Uggla's inconsistent. I think he's not at all. He's very consistent. He does about the same thing every year, Keith.
He's the kind of hitter that it's very dangerous. You make a mistake, you'll be rubbing up a new one. Or if you make your pitches, you can get them.
Seems to be very streaky. He can go through long stretches of no power and then 4 or 5 home runs in a couple of weeks. Mish gets behind Uggla. Never want to face these kind of hitters. 2-0, 2-1 count. Same goes with Cody Ross. Big 3-run home run in that first inning off Mish.
Well, there you go right there. And of course, you know, you looked at 31 home runs. His best year obviously was last year with the 32 bombs and the 92 ribeye stakes. It's a good change. Now he's starting to hit his spots, it looks like.
Yeah, nice pitch here, Keith. Down and away. And listen, Uggla, when he gets ahead in the count, he's going to let it fly. Good hitting by Uggla there off the end of the bat, but Beltran with that good speed able to make the play as Mish gets through the top of the third. rider to the Mets. Xeron's ready for real business.
Beautiful night here at City. As Anderson Hernandez steps up.
Velasco has done a nice job so far. 5 ground balls and a strikeout in his 6 outs.
Interesting around the National League, Ron. Here we are in September. There's really, I feel, only one race, and that's Colorado putting a little heat on Los Angeles, the Dodgers.
Anderson Hernandez with the fly ball to the left fielder Coughlin. Let's check in with Kevin.
Hi, guys. You sound terrific, by the way.
Thanks, KB.
Do you mean it?
Well, no, but I just had to say it.
Thank you.
You know, Jose Reyes with the team today. They have the team photo, so all the guys are here. And Jose talked to the media for a while. And I have to say, it was a really strange meeting because, you know, Jose usually is this happy-go-lucky guy. And, you know, obviously he's distraught about the amount of time he's been out with his hamstring injury. But he had this edge to him that he normally doesn't have with the media, saying that people are, you know, feeling that he's not trying hard enough and things like that. He said it's not an easy injury. This isn't a normal hamstring injury. People think I don't want to play. I love to play baseball. I live for baseball. If I'm ready the last week of the season, I'll definitely come back the last week of the season and play. No one knows how hard I've worked. It's frustrating when you try to run. It's just not there. And he kept saying that people are questioning him. My only question is, I don't know who he's talking about. I don't know anybody that has said Jose has not tried to come back. It's the injury that's been the problem. Now, with this tear, there's an option of surgery, but the Mets have felt that, you know, try and recover. The Mets doctors and Jose have talked about, you know, trying to recover without it. Obviously, it hasn't worked. He said he's going to give it one more go. He's not doing any baseball activities right now. He said he's going to go out and run, you know, hopefully soon, and just try one more time to come back without surgery. And if that doesn't go well, he's going to have surgery and then hopefully be back for spring training. But I don't know, guys, if it was just frustration of being out the whole year or what. But it was a different Jose Reyes today, that's for sure.
Very interesting, Kev, and hopefully surgery will not be needed. Now, let's remember, Jose has been a guy that plays, as Mitch fouls it off down the right field line. Jose Reyes, the last, 2-3 years, has played over 150 ball games.
Yeah, 155 plus. So he has wanted to play, wanted to be in there. I haven't heard anyone having that kind of talk about Jose, but maybe he's heard some of that. But it was interesting. Jerry was addressing, as Mitch was really working the last go here. But to no avail, as Ramirez is going to make the play at first base for the second out. Jerry Manuel was addressing today that he thought that if Jose Reyes can keep working and get him where he's feeling pretty good by the middle of October or end of October, that maybe a little bit of play at winter ball might be a good thing for Jose, because it'll get him some confidence that his leg is back 100%.
Ronnie, Jose agreed on that. Yeah. We asked him about it, by the way, and he said, yeah, you know, look, he's like, I'm not planning on that because I'd like to come back if I can and finish with this team. But if I'm still not there and I need to get my confidence back and just kind of show myself I can play, I'll be totally open to winter ball. And he also, by the way, said that this is worse than all the hamstring injuries that plagued him at the beginning of his career. So it gives you an idea of how frustrated he really is.
It's very interesting, Kev, how the game has changed, even for the Latin players, where back in our day, the Latin players were required to play winter ball and play in their leagues and in their home countries, and that's changed today. Not all the Latin players play winter ball like they used to. I mean, I could tell you the team when I was in Ponce for a brief while. I didn't play well. I got sent home. Caguas had Willie Montañez at first base, Felix Mion at second.
Wow.
Jerry Morales was the catcher. Jose Morales, excuse me.
Broken back down that left field line. Foul ball by Pagan.
Yeah, Jerry Morales was in the left field. Jose Cruz was in center field.
Wow.
Eduardo Figueroa, the Yankee pitcher.
Eddie Figueroa?
Eddie Figueroa was a starter. Craig Swan was a starter for that team. And someone else I can't think off the top of my head. And that team didn't win the championship. And that was a major league team out there in Cogwas. And who Bayamon won that year. That John Candelaria was the ace of that pitching staff.
Well, jammed again is Pagan to Hanley Ramirez for the third out. And you can see why Nolasco's been 8-3 since coming back from the minors. Outstanding. Pat Mitch facing Cody Ross, who was his nemesis in the first inning with that 3-run home run.
And we were talking about the races, and it looks like in the National League, it's the only race left is the West, Ronnie, with Colorado 3.5 back. San Francisco starting to fade.
That ball driven by Cody Ross right on the screws, but Carlos Beltran with that great speed, and despite having to get that ankle rewrapped, made that play look easy, Keith.
Well, this ball is up in the strike zone. Again, I think he got it in enough. And I thought he hit it right in the screws there. And Beltran with the beautiful, graceful strides we've come so accustomed to watching over the years here at Shea, this year at City. And it looks like,
I think he did get that ball, hit that ball right where he wanted to, but he just didn't get that ball up.
Getting back to the races, Ron, and the wild card, Florida 5.5 back. And the base hit up the middle by Ronnie Paulina. Everybody thought, Ronnie, that when Manny Ramirez came back, the Dodgers who played well without him.
Yeah.
Wonderfully without him. Were going to run away with it. Well, boy, oh boy, the Rockies put it together. And we went to Colorado, Ron. They had a schedule going for them that was playing all second division teams, and they were saying they had to have a good homestand. Well, they have had a good homestand. They're killing people, and they kind of gave themselves a little lead in the wild card and putting pressure on the Dodgers.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting if they can hold on as Tulowitzki tries to come back from that injury that strained his back.
Well, they traded for Jose Contreras from the White Sox because they lost Aaron Cook, their ace, and they couldn't go with Josh Fogg in their rotation. Fogg started one game and got rocked. So they made the trade. And Contreras not having a good year with the White Sox, but his first start, he gets a W. Pitched a fine ball game.
Seems like all those pitchers that are struggling in the American League have come over to the National League and have done a fine job. Talking about Schmaltz and Penny.
You folks can draw your own conclusions.
You know, the thing about the Dodgers, everything seemed to go right for them. And Manny was hitting great until he was suspended, of course. But we tend to forget that Juan Pierre came in and played outstanding for Manny Ramirez in left field and played a fine defense, something that Manny hasn't shown since he's come back from suspension.
Well, one thing's for sure is that the last week of the season, Ron, because we were in Colorado, their schedule, they have to finish on the road the last week. 3 in San Francisco, 3 in Los Angeles, and this year they are, I believe, 3-12 against the Dodgers. So that's a tough road trip to end on.
Nice pitch there by Pat Mish, right on the corner, striking out Cameron Maybin.
Hey, nice to see Mish, after that rocky first inning, Ron, collecting himself and getting it together.
You know, we talk about the rocky first inning, but a play by David Wright, if he makes it and he gets out of that inning without having to face Ross. You know, the final thing on the Dodgers, Keith, is that their young pitchers have not gone deep into games. Their bullpen has pitched more innings than anyone in the National League, and they're starting to wear down. As the drive to right field from Nolasco is a good hitting pitcher. 3rd out for Mish. 3 shutout innings after the 4 in the first. Mouth. I've been at that studio, Keith. They do foam as they raise the volume on the latest from the Jets, Giants, and all things New York sports on Loudmouth, weeknights at 6, only on SNY.
The Met fans enjoying the game.
Really a nice night out tonight, although you could. She's got the right idea there on the left. I think you need a sweatshirt tonight, though. It's gotten a little cooler here in New York.
Castillo leading off here for the Mets in the 4th. Jammed his first at bat.
You know, coming into this game, Keith, since the All-Star break, Castillo's hit .363. If you had said before the season started that Luis Castillo on September 9th would be hitting .315, you would say, boy, the Mets are going to have a championship team where they're going to be in the race, right?
Yes, but what a rash of injuries to other key players.
He hasn't had a lot of help. David Wright on deck. That's the one thing they do now, Keith, that has really changed. Any ball that hits the dirt is immediately taken out of play. You could go 3, 4, 5 innings in the day with the same baseball.
And you are right, Ron, as Castillo here gets ahead in the count, 3-1. Bill Robson was the first coach when I came over to the Mets that always said for us, made a point to say, ask the umpire to check the ball once in the dirt. And that ball gets scuffed. Let's take it down to Kevin Burkhardt.
Well, thanks, Ronnie. We talked before about Jose Reyes and his frustration level. What about John Maine and his frustration level? Well, that's about to end because he'll throw a bullpen tomorrow, and he said he might even throw to a couple of Mets hitters, and if that goes well, I should say, barring something crazy, he's going to start on Sunday in Philly in that day-night doubleheader in Philadelphia. And, you know, for Reyes getting back to have confidence, for Maine, certainly he wants to get back to see how he does. But there's another thing at play here, guys, with Maine. And, hey, he's a guy that I don't think they will, but he's a guy the Mets can non-tender if they choose. I mean, he's had, of course, the injuries have derailed him the last couple of years, and I think for him, not only a confidence thing, but getting back to, you know, see if the Mets are going to bring this guy back. He was asked about that, and he said, look, I honestly can't even comment on that because it is what it is. I got to go out and do my thing. But, you know, John Maine's had an interesting year. It started out as a pinched nerve, turned into a little bit of a muscle thing. The Mets have called it a shoulder weakness. But I guess for going forward, Ronnie, I'd love to know what John Maine is. You know, what is John Maine going forward? And I think that's what the Mets are trying to figure out right now. I mean, we saw what he did in 06 in the playoffs. We saw him win 15 games, and we've seen a lot of other stuff too.
Well, you know, when I look at John Maine, he reminds me so much of Rick Aguilera, one of the pitchers that pitched with us in the 80s, who ended up going to Minnesota and just being a great closer for those teams. Ground ball from David, just foul. And why he reminds me of John, or John reminds me of Rick, is that Rick would have a year where he pitched unbelievably, but was never able to stay on the mound start after start after start, so wasn't able to build up a lot of equity with the team and his coaches. That's sort of what has happened to John the last couple of years, is that he's not been able to get out there, and everyone knows what he can do when he's at the top of his game. That's going to be the interesting thing to see on Sunday night. You know, one of the things you never do, I don't know if you felt this way, Keith, one of the things you never do if you're on a team, you ever talk about anyone else's injury. Because it's almost like karma. You don't want to talk about someone else's injury because you might be talking about your injury down the line.
There's Jose right there. Haven't seen his face on the TV screen in a while. You can see that there he is. And you saw the catcher, Paulino, setting up inside, and they are pitching David inside. The way I look at the Mets next year, Ronnie, is they've got potential for 4 or 5 comeback player of the year.
Yeah. Ground ball from David right to Cantu. 5-4-3 for the double play.
Well, all set up with the fastball in, and this breaking ball, nice play by Cantu, stays in front. All you kids, that ball came up. He's got his body right there to block an easy turn for the Marlins. Now the pitch here, Ron, all the fastballs in. This is not great location, but it takes enough off, and he's established inside, gets David out in front. Rolls over the ball, 5-4-3 on your scorecard.
Ronnie, I wanted to follow up with you about Maine because you brought up Aguilera, and he was terrific as a reliever. Well, there's been talk about John Maine as a reliever, too. Do you think that would be an avenue for him?
Yeah, it's interesting, Kevin, but I think a guy that's having a hard time staying on the field physically and has had trouble making his starts, you'd be very reticent as an organization to take a chance on him in the bullpen where you've got to throw 2 or 3 days in a row. That would be where I'd be reticent. But as far as stuff is concerned, he'd be great in that bullpen. As down swinging as Carlos Beltran for the third out. Still 4-0 the Florida Marlins.
Rotunda here at Citi Field. Shades at Ebbets Field. Love those lamps. There's a fifth inning recap. Ross with, of course, the big 3-run home run in the first off Pat Mish. But now it's settled in. Mish 36 pitches in his first couple innings, only 18 in the third and fourth.
Ron, you know, you had games like Mish right now where you've given it up early and had too many of them. You had him in the minor leagues. And what's the difference when you're coming up and learning in the minor leagues as opposed to when you're a young player in the big leagues and established? You know you're good and you've won 15 games like you have.
Yeah.
When you have a game where you give up 4 in the first, what did you do to try to resettle?
Yeah, you really play mind games with yourself, Chris. Keith, it's Chris Coughlin with the ground ball at first base. Kind of play mind games with yourself and say, you know what? They got me for 4 runs in the first. I could have gotten out of it with none. So I got to keep my team in the game, but it's different in the National League than the American League. Because the National League, you don't have as much time, because at some point, if you're still behind, you're going to be hit for. In the American League, your thought process is, you know what, I've given up 4. Let me save the bullpen by pitching an 8-inning complete game effort. So it's different in either league.
Well, I like the fact that he has settled in here. And this is, like we said, folks, this is his first start here at Citi Field in front of the New York fans. He's pitched here before, but in relief. And there's Carlos Delgado. They're all back today.
You know, Keith, it's really nice to judge a pitcher when he's on top of his game, but you see what kind of pitcher what kind of person and what kind of toughness a pitcher has when he doesn't have his best stuff and struggling a little bit. This, of course, was a 7th-round pick of the San Francisco Giants in 2003. See his pitch count. 38 strikes and 62 total.
Well, it's a big game for the Phillies tonight because they are ahead in the top of the 5th, and that's Cliff Lee pitching, who's come off 2 pretty bad starts. And a little bit of concern in Philadelphia right there. Oh, good try right there, the inside fastball. Lee, of course, who got off to the very hot start, looked like Cy Young, Lefty Grove out there in Philly, and his last 2 outings got rocked, and here he is right there in the 4 innings, only 1 run. He gave up that 4 run in the first inning.
No, nice play by Pat Mish on the comebacker. Throws out Johnson at first for the 2nd out. You know, if you are a guy like Pat Mish, you're not going to strike out a lot of people. You've got to make sure you get in good fielding position. And once he lets that ball go, see how he's ready and he has his balance and his glove is in front of him. He made that play look very easy, and that ball was hit hard by Johnson up the middle. You show me a good sinker ball pitcher, you show me a guy who is not a strikeout pitcher, I'll show you a good fielder, because you have to be.
It's always the pitchers that throw hard that had the big follow through towards one foul line or other. And Seaver, my goodness, and Gibson.
Well, 3 pitches, 2 outs and a single here for Hanley Ramirez as Mish gets through the 5th inning. Fine pitching, but still Marlins 4, Mets nothing.
And welcome back to Citi Field. Mets down 4-0 here in the bottom of the fifth. Daniel Murphy leading off. And Murph, we talked about Murph. He goes naturally the other way. It's been a learning year for young Daniel, but he stayed with it. And that's a tough pitch right there. That slider he has a tough time with. And that's a tough pitch, period.
Well, that's the pitch you were mentioning before, Keith. You see that slider down and in? It starts down. That's where left-handers like it. But it just keeps moving in off the plate.
It's a very tough pitch to lay off. And that's one you've got to discipline yourself to lay off. It's not a strike.
It's almost what the pitcher is doing to Lasco, is an enticing the left-handed hitter with a pitch that's in a perfect zone for a left-hander, down and in, and then it just makes that left turn at the last second. Fooling Murphy.
Well, what was the pitch he wanted? Maybe showing him a fastball away. He's going to probably go back in.
But the way Nolasco's pitching tonight with Francoeur on deck is that he's giving himself so many options the way he's pitching inside. He could throw a curveball here, change up in the dirt. He could try to paint a fastball in again. He's Ronnie Polino with the fastball in, fastball away.
Shook him off. Murph stays in the at-bat, a little late there, fouling it off. Wants it away, has some plate. Murph always, I think, he says kick the ball deeper in the zone when he's got 2 strikes. Sometimes I think it's a little bit too defensive. And it's the change-up here. Oh, good one. Good sinking change, Ronnie.
Well, that's a great way to pitch if you're a pitcher. What he did is that he gave him 2 fastballs to speed up the bat and then came back with the changeup, which is the artful dodger he was.
I must show you this, folks. This is Ronnie and myself, Keith Hernandez, yours truly.
We gave Gary the night off.
It was just us doing the game tonight, if you haven't noticed. Wake up if you haven't noticed. Gary hasn't been on. This book right here, this was the famous Rusty Staub book we've talked about for years. We've called it the Little Black Book. Well, we were mistaken. It was the Burgundy book. And this is the book that Rusty wouldn't give me when he retired. He said I didn't earn it, and he's probably right. But it's just interesting. Here's the Pirate page, Pittsburgh Pirate. Jose De Leon, you guys that were around the 80s, the forkballer. In both wind-up and stretch, he is wider on the forkball, in between, and is in between with the slider usually. That means wider with his glove. Fastball he held tight, and in between with the slider. So that was one observation from Rusty. Lee Tunnell, if you remember Lee Tunnell, the right-hander, Rusty said in his wind-up was wider with the glove on his curveball. So that's Western Union. Here's a great pitcher right here, Kent DeColvey. As we go deeper in the count here with Francoeur, DeColvey, I find this one interesting. Went upright to the plate, that means facing the plate. It's usually an off-speed pitch, a slider. So these are all the things that Rusty, there's many more. There's a whole book full of little tips from the various pitchers over Rusty's career. I'm more interested in the ones in the 1960s when he was playing with the Colt 45.
Right.
And, you know, when I was growing up as a kid in high school, Jim Maloney's, the Bob Gibsons, and so forth.
Well, the real good ones, sometimes even when they tip off pitches, you can't hit them. That's how good they are.
Well, there's a fly ball to right field, Canadel Monte, and Nolasco is just hitting the spots, and he has found his rhythm. He got off to a quick start, Ronnie, and he's got his slider working now, his off-speed pitches. You see his pitch count.
Pitch count is down, and the thing about it, all those strikes, the ball ratio, unbelievable from Nolasco. But when you're watching a guy on top of his game, and this doesn't mean it's going to be on top of his game the entire game, he is just mixing up his pitches, throwing the spots, keeping the hitters off balance. Nolasco's done it as well as anyone tonight. Well, you know, maybe need Rusty to look at Nolasco for a while. Maybe get to.
Oh, he probably would. If he's tipping something, Rusty will get it. I don't know if he has the eyesight now. Oh, just threw that fastball by totally right there. That's not a strike. And you can see set up way inside totally. That is a pitcher's pitch. It's not a strike. It's a pitch you have to learn to lay off as a hitter. sudden he's throwing hard, too. Very interesting observation here. I just thought of this. How apropos for Rusty to have a burgundy book.
Yeah, that's right.
He likes burgundy. He loves red burgundy. Tolley, of course, with a big choke up, Nellie Fox style. Well, so far, Ron, Tolley has shown a good eye at the plate.
Yeah.
He's a contact hitter. I think he's a little bit too spread at the plate. I know it's something that he changed, and you can see the signs right there. They want to come with the curveball, and he wants to throw a slider. Ground ball to second. And this should end it as an Alasko has a 1-2-3 fifth. We go in the top of the 6th inning. 4-0.
Jolie make the final out of that inning. It's been some week for Josh Jolie, and certainly for his father Mike, who sits with me now, as well as some support from Kathleen, his girlfriend, out in the end. What has this been like for you? I mean, what's it like for a dad to see his young son come up at this point?
It's phenomenal. Last Monday when he got the phone call, and he called me 5 minutes after he received the phone call. Been living a dream since. It was a dream in '05 when he got drafted, and definitely was a dream, but this is the ultimate.
You were originally coming out kind of close to this way to pick him up from Binghamton. Is that correct?
Absolutely. Back in January, I get my vacation set up for the year, and I took vacation the second week in September. My plans were to come out to Binghamton to watch the final series and then drive back to Illinois with him. And things changed.
Just had, 5 hours east. That's a much better trip, right?
Much better trip to come to Citi Field.
We talked to Josh, and he's so personal about growing up as Cantu hits a bullet, and what a stop by David Wright, and he throws him out at first. Wow, that's a whale of a play from David Wright. 1 down. We talked with Josh about when he was a kid and playing ball with you and in the barn and hitting. Give me a sense of what that was like and how you taught him the game and what that was like for you.
Well, 365 days a year we spent in the barn. Yes, every day. It didn't matter if it was Easter, Christmas. We had company. We had to take our 45 minutes to an hour and go up to the barn. The snow coming in from the rafters. I've seen it. We've had snow on us, but he had to get his work in, he said.
Douglas, the batter now. What kind of work did you do? Was it all hitting? Was it all? Tell me, what was in the barn?
The barn was basically a batting cage.
Ugla puts a charge into one deep left field. This one is carrying, and this one is gone. It's a home run for Dan Ugla, and the Marlins add to it. It's now 5-0. Well, Dan Ugla can do that. His 26th of the year. And Pat Mish, who has settled into a nice groove, gives it up to Ugla. 5-0 Florida. So, Mike, just to continue the thought now, you were telling me about the barn.
The barn is basically a batting cage. I would throw from about 45 feet away, 40 feet away. There was a pitching machine up there, but he wanted nothing to do with the pitching machine. He wanted strictly live arm. And Dad's arm, every once in a while, would get tired. I would get a little lazy behind the L screen once in a while and leave my arm hang out, and I'd get nailed on the elbow once in a while.
They threw the ball back on the field. That's where the delay. Now, how is the arm now? Do you still pitch to him in the off season?
Actually, last off season I did. We went out to our city park in Breeze, and he wanted to take some BP out there. Of course, it was a little nippy in Illinois in January, and
Doesn't seem to matter to you guys.
no, it didn't matter. And he also works out in a local town in a cage, and I would go there and throw maybe once or twice a week, something like that.
Cody Ross bats here with a one away. What has he told you, Mike? I mean, I know you're watching and you're enjoying this, but in his conversations to you, what has he explained to you about the experience of being a major leaguer?
Actually, tonight, right before the ball game, I talked to him a little bit, and I said, "Has it sunk in yet, Josh?" And he says, "I'm starting to settle in. I'm starting to settle in a little bit, getting to know the guys, but I believe he's still." I don't know if it's really sunk in. He said I could pinch him, and he would know he's here.
I tell you what, well, it's an absolute pleasure catching up with you, and certainly enjoy this, and thanks for the time, Mike, okay?
It's nice talking to you, and thanks for having us.
We appreciate it. Guys, how cool is that still dad throwing his son in the offseason? It's pretty awesome stuff. Back to you.
Well, you know what? Ronnie, your dad taught you how to play.
Man.
My dad taught me how to play. That's where it starts. And there's a easy fly ball for Mr. Beltran. F8 on your scorecard. And now let's go to Chris Carlin for New York State Smokers Quit Line Game Break. Take it away, Chris. All right, Chris, and you take care of Bobby O back there in studio for us. We miss Bobby O. We miss you. Well, 2 outs here. One little fat pitch to Cantu kind of broke the bubble as Pat Mish was cruising along after that 4-run first. There's a fastball down, Ronnie, over the middle. And there's another fly ball, and this should end the inning. Easy one for Beltran. And that ends the Marlins sixth.
Services provided to the Mets. Xerox, ready for real business.
And here's your Mets' upcoming schedule. Remember, all Met games on SNY are available on HD, presented by IOTV. And you can see right now the Mets, through Atlanta, have guys that are in the hunt. They could put a hurt on Florida, put a hurt on the Braves. And you see Lance Broadway up in the bullpen. They're going to pinch hit for Pat Mish here in the bottom of the 6th.
Well, Mish on only 78 pitches, but down 5-0. You're going to have to put Jeremy Reed up there. He's got 14 pinch hits so far this season.
Well, Jeremy Reed, toughest job in baseball, pinch hitter, has done a terrific job for the Mets, and of late has been terrific. Oh, look at that curveball, RJ, in the outside corner. What a beautiful pitch from Nolasco, who is just oozing confidence. He's found his rhythm. Look at this.
You and I are we're talking between innings, and almost looks like he's toying with the Mets out there. Any pitch he wants, he can go to.
Now, once you get a good pitcher, and Nolasco certainly is that, going for his 11th win tonight. Once they get their rhythm, you see Nolasco's numbers, only 1 hit over 5 innings, 1 walk, very critical.
And after the first inning, he's pitched to the minimum, Keith.
Yep. And we automatic there. Nice curveball in the dirt, and there's strike 3, the 4th strikeout for Nolasco. Ahead in the count, Ron. Don't have to throw a strike.
And you call it the automatic, right? Because it seems like right now, anytime you move that bat, the umpires are going to call it. Well, been on a night with an SNY Mets broadcast team, and you and a guest could have dinner with us and then catch a Mets-Braves game in an SNY suite at Citi Field on September 22nd. This auction benefits the high school basketball teams scheduled to play in the 2010 SNY Invitational. Bid today at sny.tv/charity auction.
We read first ball fastball hitting on a changeup. A nice pitch by Nolasco, because you're a pinch hitter, you want to swing at a first pitch. You're more inclined to take a curveball. But look, he throws him a beautiful sinking change. Beautiful pitch. And that's a 3 unassisted, I believe, for the 2nd out in the inning. And Nolasco again cruising. He's now retired 7 Mets in a row. Last Met to reach base was back in the 4th, where Castillo led off with a walk. And Pat Mish, who had the rocky first inning run, 6 innings pitched, 6 hits, 5 runs earned, no walks, 1 strikeout, 2 critical home runs that hurt him, and a hit batsman. And the big blast of the day was Cody Ross, the 3-run home run.
Well, look at that out distribution so far. Groundouts 10, strikeouts 4. As Nolasco's been in total control.
And there's a ball down, hooking down, slicing, I should say. It stays fair. So Pagan gets his 2nd base hit of the day, a double down the left field line.
You know, Keith, we talked about Coggan before. As this ball lands right on the chalk line down the left field line. Coggan is a converted infielder, doesn't have really the speed to cover all that ground, but you're not going to usually catch this ball anyway when it hits right on the chalk line.
I'll say that. 14th double for Pagan on the year. Pagan has 9 triples too to go with that. 14 doubles, 6 home runs, having a fine offensive season. Louis hitting .314 on the year. Chance to drive in a run here, get the Mets on the board in 6th.
Well, Keith, really it's been Pagan who's really had the answer for Nolasco. He's 2 for 3 today. The rest of the team's 0 for 15.
You got a caller. Huge caller. Ground ball up the middle, covered by Ramirez. Nice play. Close. And that ends it. And the Mets have turned aside. The score remains 5-0 Marlins.
Head-to-head with the Daily News beat writers and special celebrity guests about the latest happenings in New York sports on Daily News Live, presented by Citi. It's weekdays at 5, only on SNY. Back upstairs to our outstanding booth tonight, Ronnie and Keith. Guys, where's Gary, by the way?
I believe he's in the truck. He couldn't stay away.
I'm just curious, that's all.
He couldn't stay away.
Well, here's the Aflac trivia question. Who were the top 3 home run hitters in the 1980s?
Oh, I gotta believe Mike Schmidt is one of them.
Remember, don't answer it.
That's true. Sorry, Ronnie, Lance Broadway in?
Yes, he made his Mets debut with 3 innings of relief in Chicago against the Cubs. He has not pitched in 8 days, though.
Lance Broadway, a sinker slider pitcher, throw strikes.
Did you hear Kevin reading that promo? That's what it sounds like when a pro does it, Keith.
Oh, yes. Kev, are you down there?
Yeah, I am. I was just finishing up my conversation with Josh Tolley's dad. But I'm here. I'm here for you guys.
We need you.
Hey, Kev, I don't always feel it up here in the booth, but how does it feel down there? It's a little chilly, right, and windy? Starting to get the fall weather.
It's a little breeze. I see the jackets being put on. But it's actually, honestly, gorgeous out, Ronnie. It's pretty nice. I still got the short sleeve. The SNY jacket is still in packing mode.
Routine grounder to short. 1 out. And Kevin looked like he was hiding in that shot there. Kevin, you were on your, hiding behind, and Webby's got you from behind. You cannot hide from Bill Webb.
Well, I don't want to get in these folks' way. I'm trying to be courteous, Keith. I know if it was you'd just stand up. So I'm trying to.
He is Keith Hernandez, by the way. You know that.
You can get away with that, though.
Hey, Kevin, walk me through what it's like. So many of the players. Is there any interaction between them and the fans here at Citi Field?
Yeah, there's some. I mean, a lot of the guys will come, especially by the photo wall where I usually sit, or Razor Shines are standing right now. There's the guys that are between innings, like they'll interact a little bit with the guys coming off, especially when an inning's over. They'll come off and guys will say things to them and good job or nice inning or whatever, and they'll kind of chant back. And sometimes they'll throw a ball into the crowd. So there is some. I thought there was a little bit more at Shea in terms of that, but to be quite honest with you, I thought some of the stuff at Shea was a little bit more vulgar. It's been a little bit more family oriented. Maybe that's because of the seating. Who knows? But it's been, it's good. Razor is the best with the folks. As David makes this play over to first, Velasco retired. He gives balls to the crowds all the time, and he has a method to his madness, guys, because he'll have a ball and he'll scout out like the cutest kid. So he sifts through everybody else and finds the right people. He finds the kids. It's pretty cool.
It's amazing, Kevin, and Keith and I's day, our day, you could not throw a baseball into the crowd. They did not want you to throw the baseballs into the crowd.
$100 fine.
Yep.
Paul Pryor was the first one to tell me.
You got fined?
Yeah, fined.
He told me it was a foul ball on the right field line, and I picked it up and gave it to a little kid in the front row on the right field line. And Paul Pryor said, Keith, they're not going to. No, it was Jerry Dale, excuse me. Said, Keith, they're not going to fine you.
How would Fernando Rodney do back then? Not very well.
He just said, it's a $100 fine to get the balls back. I said, you're kidding, Jerry. And he goes, nope, I'll let you go this time, but I have to, by the league rules, to fine you if you do it again.
Why was that? What was the point of that?
Well, they were cheap owners back then. They had to save those balls for BP. He didn't pay us nothing back in '74. So Broadway 1 out away from a 1-2-3 7th.
Broadway has good sinking action on all his pitches. That's probably the end result why he gets a lot of ground balls, 2 in this inning for outs.
And you want Nick Johnson leading off. Nick Johnson with the hamstring is not running even 50%. You don't want Nick Johnson up with men on base, period. And he loses Coughlin.
Hey, Ronnie, you talked about the interaction. I'm sure you did when you were pitching, but Keith, were you a guy that obviously you couldn't throw balls in the stands, but were you a guy would you look around and maybe say a couple words or just beeline right into the dugout?
I would beeline in the dugout. Kev, sorry, I was asocial when I played. I'm very social up here.
you might have cast an eye occasionally into the stands.
Well,
occasionally.
Oh, are you kidding? We used to run off the field, Kev, and we'd look around to spy who was sitting where, and you know, it's a periscope.
It's kind of like that old Joe Montana story, right? Looking into the stands and seeing John Candy.
That's right.
You never had that John Candy setting, huh?
Wolfpack commander with that periscope up, the enemy convoy.
Who were the toughest fans? Were there a particular group that got on you guys more?
Candlestick was, if you're talking about crudeness, they were. I felt Candlestick Park had the. And it's my hometown. And, kind of, it was sad that it was that way, but there were some, I thought, some really crude fans in Candlestick.
Well, in Philadelphia, the stands were so high above where you would warm up, Kevin, they would throw peanuts and spill beer on you while you were warming up. So that became a little tough crowd there.
Oh, that might have a chance. Francoeur racing back at the track. Can't make the play. Coughlin will score easily and a double for Nick Johnson. And I think Francoeur might have got a fold on that ball, Ron. So you said the wind has picked up. He has played so well in right field, and I think he didn't think this ball was hit that far as it hits the base of the wall.
You know, it looked to me, Keith, with the wind that it was kind of moving around on him out there, and he couldn't get the good run on it. Remember, the Mets have tried to pull in their outfielders to try to take this ball away, but hit too hard by Johnson. And a double and a 2-out walk to Coughlin costs Lance Broadway and the Mets.
And they're going to get a pinch runner out for Nick Johnson now with a 6-run lead. His defense is not required. Not take a chance. This is a team that's just barely hanging on. There's Wes Helms. He will get the pinch running duties, and he'll stay in the field, probably go to third base, and Jorge, I would surmise, Jorge Cantu will go to first. There's Tony Perez in the dugout there. Hall of Famer.
He's one of their special advisors with Andre Dawson. I saw you talk to those two pros before the game today.
Yes, I did. What a great hitter Tony Perez was, and Tony right there. That's big Tony. Andre Dawson right there to his right, and two fine hitters. Tony Perez, one of the great clutch hitters that I ever played against.
Great breaking ball hitter at the end of his career.
Hit fifth in that lineup behind Johnny Bench, the Big Red Machine.
Over 1,700 RBIs. Andre Dawson, I gave up his 300th home run at Wrigley Field. Andre, if he hadn't have had the knee problems, and they probably caused by that artificial turf in Montreal, he just is an amazing player.
And again, Manny Ramirez pops up. And that ends the inning as the Marlins get another run add on. It's 6-0 Marlins. tell you that. And changes for the Marlins. Jorge Cantu from third goes to first. Wes Helms, who pinch ran for Nick Johnson, comes into the game, stays in the game, excuse me, at third base. Wes Helms, of course, got a big home run the last game of the season last year when the Marlins put an end to the Mets season. And I know you Met fans probably didn't want to be reminded of that. David Wright leads off this inning. You know a pitcher's throwing good, Ronnie, when you are in the bottom of the seventh and it's only the third time through the order.
Yeah, and he doesn't have a high pitch count. I think that's the thing you like to see. The thing about Velasco, in this day and age, Keith, where the hitters spend so much time with film trying to dictate the at-bats to the pitcher. And what I mean by that is that they're trying to go out, work the pitch count up so they get into the bullpen. And Sean Green is up in the bullpen for the Mets. When you watch a pitcher who's throwing strikes and working quickly, keeping the hitters off balance, he dictates the at-bat, and that's what Nolasco's doing tonight.
Well, what I've noticed about Nolasco is, number one, when you have command of all 3-4 of your pitches, and confidence in throwing them any count, you don't have a pattern. I've seen no pattern in that. Pitched everybody differently. I love a pitcher that works fast, and you're a guy out there in the field. Here you are in September. You're got your second win. Nice brisk fall night. Pitcher working fast.
Well, we talked about it before in the opening. First 9 starts, 2-5, 9.07 ERA. He was sent down to AAA, made a couple of starts, and then came back, and you see the numbers now. More like he had last season when he had a career-high 15 wins.
Well, after all 3 straight breaking balls, just threw a boring fastball in on the hands of David Wright. Doesn't want to walk anybody here. No free passes with a 6-run lead late. There's Mark Wiley. Mark Wiley, the pitching coach here for the Marlins. This is his second stint with the Marlins. He was the pitching coach last year with Cleveland.
Oh, yeah?
Yep.
He's a great guy, Mark Wiley. And I think he's the perfect guy for this young pitching staff that they have in Florida. He's a very patient pitching coach.
Oh, it didn't miss by much.
Well, it's a good pitch here, Keith, but an interesting pitch. When you're up 6-0 to go with a slider 3-2, the danger is the walk.
Right, it could have gone either way.
Could have gone either way. You're right.
Let's take a look right here. This is a great angle. Oh, good call. Outside. Good eye, David. Home plate umpire, Jeff Nelson.
Go a little out of sync right here, Keith.
Well, he needs an out. Fastball away. Base hit to right field, almost killed David, and David aggressively going to third base. Nice base running by David. Nice hitting by Carlos. A fastball away. They got over the middle.
Well, you're right. Paulino wanted it away, and it was down and in, which is the strength for almost any left-handed hitter.
Just watch the catcher's glove. He's coming back to get it over the middle.
You're right. It was not down and in, Keith. You had it right down the middle.
Yep. And Carlos just rips this and almost takes David's head off at first base. Look at David. Olay.
I will say that Carlos Beltran, his 2 games, has really kept his bat speed in these 2 games.
He's swinging the bat good.
Yeah, he is.
And that's going to get a phone call to the bullpen. Murphy, ground ball foul. Daniel 0 for 2 tonight, and again, 7th inning, only 3rd time up for Murphy. That's just a sign that you're getting a 3-hitter thrown at you.
Well, Paulino was interesting there, Keith, on that ground ball to Cantu that went foul. David Wright going on contact. Down 6-0.
Well, they're going to give the run. They're going to
double play.
They're going to concede the run.
Yeah.
And you see the infield right there. The only guy that's playing in is holding the runner on first. Good cut by Murph. 6-run lead right here. You get a ground ball, even to the first baseman, Ronnie. And obviously, I mean, this is baseball 101. Yeah. But the only guy that has to play at the plate is Nolasco and the first baseman. But you're going to turn. You'll take the double play and give up the run. Brandon Donnelly and Reniel Pinto up in the Marlin bullpen. Ron, I got to ask you a question. You see Murph so defensive and protecting the plate. Do you see that kind of swing where, as a pitcher, what would you do to counter?
Well, there's two ways. If he's really being defensive on a pitch away, you know what you can do? Go about 4 or 5 inches more away. He might swing through it. It also looks like he's vulnerable if I went up high in the strike zone.
Base hit to right field down the corner. A changeup. And that's going to be a double for Murph, and the Mets are in business here. Wright scores 6-1. Runners on second and third, and there's nobody out. So the Mets got something going here. Finally, off on the last go. Change up too much. Oh, not a bad pitch.
It's not a bad pitch, though. But after throwing the fastball by Murphy, he comes back with a changeup, which kind of speeds up the bat of Murph. He's able to hit that down in the corner.
Nice hitting. And I kind of question with the way he's had his breaking ball working, Ron. And it's in the corner there. And watch Beltran running. Now remember, Carlos is coming back off that bruised knee. Looks fine.
You know, Paulino really gives a nice sign. He wants that off the plate. Oh, and what happened in the last go, he kind of held on to it too long, so that ILTV pitch differential, even though it was down, there was more in the middle of the plate.
So Paulino looked like he wanted it out of the strike. Yeah, you're right, Ron. Let's see if he can go fishing. And that gets a little conference out in the mound.
That's what's great about this game. You could have a pitcher that's on top of his game. He starts out with a leadoff walk to right, and you have a couple of hits, and now with a base hit here, you're right back in this ball game.
Well, a blast. You're 2 runs down. You're really back in the ball game. So the worm can turn real quickly in this game. Straight away in the outfield, conceding the run in the infield. And this is popped up down the first base line. Will it stay in play? Oh, Cantu drops it. Where was Paulino?
Yes.
Oh, my goodness. Paulino's got to make an effort on that. That was a long way to run for Cantu.
What happened with this wind? It blew it right back towards Paulino. He didn't go after it and made a tough play. Cantu.
Cantu still's got to make the play. They're going to rule that an error. Oh, this is a big out for Nolasco. What is Paulino thinking? Fouled off down first base line. I guess they're not going to call an error on that play. Tough chance for Cantu. Should have made the play. It was not an easy chance, but should have caught it.
Well, this next pitch is going to be Nolasco's 100th.
Everything away to Francoeur. There are the runners. Second and third, nobody out.
Well, good strike to ball ratio, 65 to 35. That's just where you want to see it. But Nolasco in some trouble. I think that ball inside, Keith, was just a setup for something in the dirt here. He needs a strikeout.
Boy, would you double up, Ron?
Yeah, double up inside. You could do that also.
Yep. And missed. Yeah, it's getting a little dicey now.
Paulino, of course, with the runner on second, is going to have to go through a litany of signs. Changeup, slider, fastball, changeup. No, shaken out by Nolasco.
Oh, hanging, breaking ball.
Nolasco in this inning, Keith, we've watched, he has dropped his arm angle a little bit. And when you drop your arm angle on a slider, the ball tends to stay right in the middle of the plate. Does not have that great tilt anymore.
Stays flat. I think Paulino's going to go out there. And, you know, I always felt the middle infielder, one of them, should go out there and make sure they're not changing the sign.
Yeah.
Because you want to know what the pitch is. And first and third base cannot read the sign because they're too much of an angle to the catcher. They're hidden from the signs. But the middle infielders can get the signs.
You know what they'll do sometimes, Keith? If the catcher changes the sign, he will have a sign that he'll relay to the middle infielders to let him know if they're going first sign, second sign, or third sign.
Good eye. You notice there, Paulino gave no sign. They had already made up their mind. They said they probably did a 2-pitch sequence, maybe a 3-pitch sequence.
But it doesn't help the middle infielders, though, if they don't know what's coming.
It sure doesn't. Same thing.
Yep.
Fly ball to right field, and this will get a run in, and they advance Murphy to third. It should.
Ross has a good arm.
So sacrifice fly, F9 on your scorecard, RBI for Jeff Francoeur. Came with a fastball, Ronnie.
Just got it up enough and jammed Jeff just enough. But keep him in the ballpark.
Had some plate. Francoeur just was protecting. But got it over, advance to the next runner. 6-2. They can get a base hit here, and that might be it. There is going to be a pitching change. There's Murph. Good read. Going to third base. And this is your Lincoln Mercury call to the bullpen. Hey, Met fans, get to Citi Field as the series with the Marlins concludes tomorrow night at 7:10 p.m. Visit Mets.com or call 718-507-TIXX for your print-at-home tickets now. Well, Ricky Nolasco here hoping for some relief help the left-hander Raniel Pinto, RJ.
Yeah, he's had troubles all season long with elbow inflammation. He just came back from the disabled list in June, but went on the disabled list in May with that problem elbow.
Well, this allows Jerry to pinch hit Fernando Tatis. A little questionable move. You got Tatis with 2 home runs as a pinch hitter this year, 9 for 29 as a pinch hitter with 7 RBI. The left-handed bench for Jerry is Corey Sullivan and Brian Snyder. There's Corey. Ooh, good fastball.
Pinto's always had good stuff. I know you've been impressed with him, Keith. I think one of the keys for him, and we talked about the elbow inflammation, as he goes on, I think that he could be a star in this league. He's just going to have to get himself in a little better shape. He's just, you know, so he won't break down, because they've used him a lot.
Control has always been an issue.
Yeah. Well, in a weird way, it's one of his strengths, because he's one of those guys, throws 2 balls not even close, and the next thing you know, he throws one on the corner.
Exactly, and a big guy I wouldn't like to face. Good stuff, wild around the plate, doesn't know where it's going. So you, as a hitter, you're trying to get a pattern off a pitcher. You can't with this guy, because he doesn't know where it's going.
Patternless.
The Mets need to pick up this runner. Sean Green up in the bullpen. There's Nemo out there, the bullpen coach. You see Pinto throws hard.
There's Anderson Hernandez on deck.
Marlins playing back, conceding the run.
That was a nice job by Fernando staying in that at bat. Hope that was a changeup or a slider from Pinto.
Remember, it reminds me of one of Tatis's pinch hit home runs. The grand slam was off the changeup right here at Citi Field. You see the defense back, the infield back, outfield straight away, big gap in right center. Ground ball jam, broke the bat. Ugwa has to hurry. Got him, but the run scores and the Mets close to 6-3. And though Tatis right there, you see the bat is it's an out. At least he got the run in. The one thing you don't want to do is leave that runner out there. A strikeout or a pop-up is a niet.
Sometimes it's one of the beauties of this game is that a broken bat, 4-3 out, might be one of the more important at bats as this game moves along. Because you had, like you said, you had to get that run in.
Well, the Mets have 2 more cracks too before this game finishes, and they close to 3 runs now. Good cut by Anderson.
Well, you see the defense, Keith. They are playing very shallow in the outfield towards right field. Ross is playing very shallow in right field.
I'd be a little less inclined to play so shallow with a 3-run lead. There's the cut by Anderson.
I agree. You don't want to give up any doubles here, and I think Hernandez has more power from the right side of the plate.
Looks like Anderson kind of put on some pounds there and kind of got a little huskier. Did some weight work in the offseason. Looks a little.
Yeah, he always looked stronger. More slight, didn't he?
He looked stronger.
Watch Pinto getting that grip. He'll hide that ball in his glove, like he's trying to sneak a cookie out of the kitchen.
Ground ball right at Ramirez. Easy hop, easy out. But the Mets score 3 runs, close it to 6-3 here as we move into the top of the 8th.
The Yankees and updates on the Jets and Giants as they gear up for the 2009 season on Geico Sports Night tonight after postgame and at 1 a.m. right here on SNY.
Well, we'll do the Aflac trivia question. The answer is, who were the top 3 home run hitters of the 80s? Mike Smith, of course.
Oh, Dale Murphy. That makes sense.
And Eddie Murray. Everybody kind of forgets Eddie Murray. I do because I'm a National League guy.
Yeah.
I never really cared for the American League. But let me tell you something. Eddie Murray was one of the great players.
It was Sean Green who pitched in yesterday's game, 2/3 of an inning, here in a very important role. The Mets have now closed it. Has to throw 0 up there.
Been kind of an up and down year for Sean Green, Ronnie. Just didn't get off to a good start. You come into a new town playing, you see Omir Santos in behind the plate. Good sinker right there.
I think you make a good comment, Keith. Sean Green has had some really good outings, but he's had some outings that have just been really very unusual. Hit batters, walk for bases loaded, those kind of things that occasionally struggle. You know, I believe when they got Sean Green from Seattle, he was someone that was very, very important along with J.J. Putz coming over here from Seattle, that he was going to be maybe a little more advanced version of Joe Smith, a guy who's going to come in and be able to generate a lot of ground balls. And you need that pitcher in your bullpen when you need a double play.
Well, that game is tied up in Philadelphia. Foul ball off your foot. Ouch.
You know, the one thing he's doing, Keith, though, he has made a little adjustment. If you watch his arm angle now, this is more like Chad Bradford, who used to pitch for the Mets. It's a little lower. He's getting a little more sink on his fastball. It was more kind of sidearm at the beginning of the year. Now it's not knuckle scraping yet, but close.
Oh, good slider. And then that'll take care of Cantu. All set up with the sinkers in. Quick work of Cantu.
How did you like facing the guys that threw sidearm, Keith? Did they give you any problem, like the Tekulves you mentioned before?
Well, lefty. There was Ramon Hernandez with the Pirates that Rusty always says he couldn't hit. And he pitched with the Cubs, but when I came up, Ramon Hernandez was with reliever with the Pirates when the Pirates were were a fine team. He was a sidearm left-hander. I did not like him.
there's a lot of different styles with the guys that throw like Sean Green. Sometimes they'll whole body will bend over as they throw from the as low as they can get. Sometimes they just drop the arm and the body will stay tall. Sean Green really leans to the side and will throw that pitch. I played with Mark McGuire for a few years in Oakland, and I'm telling you, when they used to bring a sidearm pitcher in, completely defeated. He just knew he could not pick up the ball. And yeah, he just completely defeated. They brought a sidearmer in.
I always felt off a submariner that I had to stand more upright, and you have to make sure that you don't tilt your head. You got to keep your eyes parallel to the ground and hit more upright, because you tend to want to tilt your head and get more crouched to pick up that ball when he's throwing Laredo downstairs there.
So as a hitter, you almost got to stop yourself from trying to tilt just like the pitcher.
Exactly, and there's, you see right there, the split screen. You know, it's no fun for a righty to face Sean Green. So I always felt more vulnerable standing upright, that I couldn't get that ejector button in case he threw one at my coconut. Grabs a ground ball to the right side, fielded by Murphy nicely.
Now let's go to Chris Collins of the New York State Smokers. Quit line game break.
All right, Chris. Look at Cody Ross. Hit the 3-run bomb, his 21st home run of the year back in the first. That has been the decisive blow of the game.
Cody Ross in his young career is a 4-4 now. Philadelphia, Washington in the 8th inning.
As the Nationals scored a run in the 7th off Cliffley. And the Phillies lose that game, and Marlins come close to 5. Hey, you know what? It's a little breathing room, but it can be had. That lead can be chopped.
Well, after watching the 2007 Rockies when they went 21-1 down the stretch, anything is possible.
Ball hit right, broken bat. 4-3 on your scorecard, and that ends the top of the 8th. 6-3 Marlins.
Field bullpen door, and he's on now for the Marlins, trying bringing on Leo Nunez in the 9th inning. Welcome back to Citi Field. Well, Freddie Gonzalez, I had an interesting conversation with him yesterday, and I asked him about this Marlins team and experience, and he actually said that playing here the last 2 years, and of course we all know what they did to the Mets, he said really helped this team because, as he said, there's no experience simulator, and what that did for this team, and which is for the most part, most of these guys were here for that. He said it gave them the feel of playing in important games in September. And guys, he really attributed that as a reason why he thinks this team has, played so well and continues to play well. He also held a meeting yesterday just to remind them, say, hey, until you see that X, until you see that Y next to your name or next to somebody else's name, you play hard because we are in this and we have a very good chance. Corey Sullivan for the Mets. Guys, back up to you.
Well, a nice move by Freddie Gonzalez, Ronnie, forcing Jerry's hand. He sent Pinto out there. Jerry countered with right-hand pinch hitter in Nick Evans, and he brought in the right-hander, and then made Corey Sullivan the pinch hitter. So it made Jerry burn 2 players. Only left-hand hitter on the bench now for Jerry is Brian Schneider, as you look at Elmer Descends. And the only right-handed bats for the Mets on the bench now are Wilson Valdez and Gary Sheffield, who may not be able to pinch hit. Ronnie, I heard that.
Sorry about that.
Leadoff walk.
Oh, man. It's just that for a manager, and I've heard this from a lot of managers, including Joe Torre, most important thing for a manager when he brings in a reliever is first pitch strike and retire the first hitter. That really sets up the inning, and Donnelly not able to do that with Corey Sullivan.
Well, that's why Whitey Herzog always judged his relievers, and that was back in the day when the relievers were always didn't start an inning, they were brought in with men on base. And Whitey said, I'm bringing the reliever in no matter what time in the game, and I got men on base. I always look to the first batter, how many outs he gets. He gets that first batter because he's coming in with the ducks on the pond. He's got to get the out.
Some good news from across in the Bronx tonight. Derek Jeter, of course, 3 hits, which ties him with Lou Gehrig, 2,721 hits. Congratulations to Derek.
Couldn't happen to a better guy, a better ambassador for the game. And there you have it. I mean, that's been there for quite some time, Lou Gehrig, and the Yankees have had some players that have played in the pinstripes for a long time, had long careers, and Mr. Jeter is just 1 hit shy of becoming the all-time hit leader for the Yankees, and he is just a great player. Congratulations.
Well, what was great about Jeter is that in 1995, the starting shortstop for the Yankees was Tony Fernandez, and he hurt himself, and they brought up a young shortstop called Robert Einhorn. He didn't work out, went 0 for 7, so they decided to bring up Jeter, who's hitting about 350 in Columbus. He came up for about 13 games, was sent down, came back up in September, and then, of course, 96. History after that.
Collective sigh for you Metsies.
That's some bad luck right there. Hit right on the nose.
Bullet by Pagan right at Cantu. Nothing Sullivan can do, and that is a double play. Not much you can do. Tough break for the Mets.
You know, to show you what a long career Derek Jeter has, this old man up here faced him in 1995. That's how long he's been great. Wow.
Well, it brings up Castillo 0 for 2 on the night with a walk. Well, we got some scores for you. Atlanta's up 1-0 at Houston in the 6th. Colorado up again 2-0 in the 4th at home against Cincinnati. And the Phillies, after the Nationals tied it up 4-4, went right ahead with 2 in the 8th. So 6-4 Phillies. Told you earlier the Giants lost today to the Padres. Cardinals win again, and the Cubs win.
Pujols with a couple of home runs, now has 47 and 124 runs batted in. Wainwright won his 18th game as his hat is firmly entrenched in the Cy Young ring with his teammate Chris Carpenter.
Texas won earlier in the afternoon against Cleveland 10-0, and Boston feeling the heat 4-4 in Boston against Baltimore in the 6th. Goodness, if Boston loses tonight, Ronnie, Texas is a game behind them.
Well, everyone keeps saying that Texas is going to wilt, but they do not go anywhere. They had another big game today, won 10-0, 17 hits they had in the ball game. Billy Wagner's been awfully good for Boston since he's been there, hasn't he?
How about that? How about Nolan Ryan over there, kind of changing a culture in Texas since being in with that ball club, and it's always been a team that hit, Ronnie, but never pitched.
Well, he always needed a guy that could throw 150, 160 pitches in a game. He was going to be the guy that changed the culture.
Ground ball to Cantu, easily fielded, and that's going to end it right there as we go into the top of the 9th. 6-3 Marlins. Last inning, stays in the game in the 9th position. And Elmer Descends comes in for his 23rd appearance of the year, and he will be in Pagan's spot in the order, leadoff.
We were kiddingly calling him Everyday Elmer, as he seems to pitch every day. Pitched in yesterday's ball game, a scoreless inning. Kiko Calero on your left, Leo Nunez on your right.
And this is a 3-run lead and a save situation, so I got to believe, if the Marlins don't add on here, it's going to be Nunez.
Well, that's why they're both throwing, I think, is that if they were to add on a run, of course, Nunez would sit down and Calero would have the 9th.
Well, tomorrow's game, the wrap up of this series, Sean West and Bobby Parnell. Parnell coming off a brilliant outing his last time. 7-inning shutout ball, got a no decision. Paulino rips one in the gap. Sullivan over, makes the catch. know, Ron, this time of year in September, there's two things. There's two ways it can break for a player and a team. Obviously, you're either in the hunt and the games are important, or you're out of it and you can only play a spoiler. The difference is for you, Ron, obviously pitching against a team contending as opposed to pitching to a team that's in last place with you.
Well, it's interesting. It's always going to be tougher, of course, to pitch against a team that's contending. I'll never forget my first start in the big leagues in 1983 was against the Fighting Phils, and they were trying to go for the division title, end up winning the division with guys like Joe Morgan and Pete Rose and Mike Schmidt and those guys. So it can be a very difficult start, and I lost that first start, in fact. But I think for any player, now if you're in the race, it's easy. I mean, because you're ready every day. You're excited every day. If you're not in the race, though, I think it's very important. That's part of being a professional athlete. You got to go out there and you got to get yours. If you're a pitcher, you got to get wins. If you're a hitter, you want to go out there and get some hits and finish strong. Sometimes finishing strong in September can get you off on the right road next April. So those are the things you have to do.
And it's professional pride.
Yeah.
If you're out of it, and it's tough particularly if you're out of it. I've been on the team was out of it in early June. There's a fly ball to right field, and Francoeur should have. Oh, Murphy, and that's a tough play right there all the way around. That's what you call the triangle. Texas leaguer where the Murph just kind of didn't turn. It's just a tough play for Murph.
But Keith, you want to, if you can, if you have time. Now it's tough, but you want to try to, like a defensive back, kind of turn around and get going backwards a little, which would make that a much easier play.
I can tell you from my experience,
hard,
that's a hard play running down there. You're going, where's the right fielder? Please come and call me off. Your ears are right there going, I want to hear, I got it, until you can back off. But getting back to, playing, whether you're playing it out. I remember in '76 when the Phillies won 100 games and blew out the National League East. We were, as a Cardinals, we were out of it in early June. And that's playing over half a season, 18 out. And I was a young kid trying to establish myself. So every game's important. But for the veteran, Lou Brock, who's a consummate professional, it's a matter of professional pride that you go out there and do the best you can do every day, have the best season that you can have. Well, there's a ball ripped down the right field line. Nice hitting by Maben. And watch him fly. And he's all arms when he runs. He looks like a windmill when he runs. Nice hitting right here. He gets his fastball away. Oh, slider. Nicely done. But watch his arms.
He's moving too fast. He needs to get his arm to make a right turn, a left turn. Well, you know this guy, Keith. Ross Gloves, pitch hitting.
He is a East Hampton young man out there in the Hampies. Finally met him in Florida. He went down there and said hello to him.
Keith, to further what you were talking about, when you are on a team like the Mets that were supposed to do so much this year and they're not, you would think there might be some letdown, but there should be no letdown. Why? Because all their players are gone. So they have all these guys that are playing to fight for maybe a position on this ball club next season.
There's no question you've got the Anderson Hernandezes, Santos,
Corey Soley,
Murphy, Pagan. There's a lot of guys here. And in the pitching staff, you've got guys. There's Corey Sullivan out there. So a lot to play for. We've got a manager down there that's watching. There's a nice breaking ball away, and a can of Del Monte. That wind is really blowing out there and playing havoc with the outfielders. But Pagan takes charge, put it away. It is a fall night here in New York. Bring out the fireworks.
The thing you like about Beltran, Keith, is that he's just, he just plays center field the correct way. Knows how to go after the baseball. Knows that the wind's bad, so he's sprinting, not kind of gliding to the baseball.
Thanks for covering me, Ron. I said Pagan. I'm so used to seeing Pagan out center field. Right. It's just
70 games left.
Here's Carlos, and he is a very aggressive center fielder. He is the guy that takes charge. And when you're a three-time Gold Glover,
the other outfielders get out of your way.
Yep.
Westhelm's on deck. And Elmer descends, of course, is going to intentionally walk the leadoff hitter, Chris Coughlin. Get that righty-righty matchup. Helms, of course, came in as a pinch runner, then defensively at third base.
Well, Ron, our maiden voyage here, we had one in our maiden regular season voyage here. We did it in spring training. We did this in spring, gave Gary a day off. How's it going for you?
It's going great, but we have to tell the people at home we had a little slow start to our opening. We did it about 18 times down on the field. We came up here, couldn't get it right 2 or 3 times, and then we did it live. So we really did do it live, and it was our best one, the live version, but it was pretty funny. Our producer, Greg Pickett, was a little worried about going into this 3-hour game with us, but it worked out great.
It's fun. We're cutting into Kevin's time because Kevin has to do his pregame hit back to studio, and there was a problem, and we had to come back up here, and then we tried one here. The national anthem got in the way. We had to stop, and then it was live, and the pressure was on. And Helms flies out to right, and we always do it better live, RJ. And looks like Nunez coming in.
With IOTV, by City, by Toyota, and by Smirnoff. Please drink responsibly. Last breath for the Mets here, down 6-3, bottom 9. And they got the big guns up with Wright and Beltran to start it off. And guys, we'll send it back up to you. And I have to say, of course, I love Gary and I miss him. But it's been really fun to listen to you guys. You know, and I know it's not easy to do what you're doing either. So you know, it sounds like two old friends hanging out and watching the game, and a little play-by-play here and there, but some good stories. So it's been cool.
Well, thanks, Kev. And
thanks, Kevin.
We're 3 in the booth on the next road trip. Don't think that's going to get you a free meal from us.
Not so much for that.
Exactly. Oh, jeez. Leo Nunez, who earned his first career save at this ballpark on May 30th. He was traded to the Marlins from the Kansas City Royals from Mike Jacobs, and he has been a welcome addition to this Florida Marlins team. He won't throw 94 and 95, but he has a very live arm, a lot of movement on his pitches.
And who would have thought he's coming in? Oh, nice slider to David Wright. David looks like that outside corner, but he can't cover it. It's a very awkward swing, very mechanical swing.
But rightfully so. That was a late breaking slider. It looks like a fastball the whole way and just changes gears.
Well, tomorrow night's game begins with Kevin at 6:30. I believe. Is it Kevin at 6:30 tomorrow? He started at 6:30.
Yeah, it's our pregame live at 6:30 tomorrow. Marlins Mets. That's our next telecast.
That's Kevin Shute.
Bobby Parnell coming off his best start as a Met, 7 shutout innings.
Ground ball right to Ugla. Easy routine, 4-3. 1 out here in the 9th. Mets down 6-3.
Hey guys, you were talking about doing the open before.
Yeah.
At any point, did you ever feel like the game was going to start while you were doing the open?
No,
or?
I'll tell you this, Kevin. Singly, we almost this afternoon, Keith and I, brought down the whole network in one opening. We almost ruined like 3 shows. Sweating bullets, fumbling over words. We forget how much we count on our friend Gary.
Well, isn't it funny? It's like a well-oiled machine.
Oh man,
everybody just kind of does their thing. And
yeah, he does it like it's nobody's business. I also got fined. I said in one of the openings that we messed up. Right. I said Shea Stadium instead of City Field. Right? That's why we had to change it.
It was our folks. It was our best open of the 7. Remember, and it was around the 4th. And Ronnie was beautiful. I was beautiful, and Ronnie was leading the countdown perfectly to 3, 2, 1, and he said, "Don't go left."
I said, when you get off the subway, don't go right to the U.S. Open. Make a left into Shea Stadium.
Yeah, we had to do it over.
Oh, God.
I could have strangled him.
Now go ahead.
Keith, I think you lost some credibility when you said it was the best of the 7. Gotta be honest.
Oh, goodness.
Well, ground ball right at Cantu, and there's 2 away. Mets are 1 out away from losing the 2nd game in this series.
Well, immediately after the game, join host Chris Carlin and Bobby O'Reilly for all tonight's highlights, exclusive interviews, and Jerry's post-game reactions on Lincoln Mercury Post-Game Live immediately after tonight's game, and now after all 162 Mets games right here on SNY.
I don't know about you, Ron. When this game's over, I get home an hour and a half later. I am going to sleep like a baby. Did I shoot the clown?
Are you going to have a little holiday sparkler to put you to sleep?
I may have to. I may have to dip into the flask.
This Marlins team got a good, well-pitched game from Velasco. That lady was prepared with her blanket here on a windy, I shouldn't say it's cold night, but it's compared to what it's been.
Popped up, but that stays in play. This will be the ball game. The wind is blowing it. It stays in play. Wes Helms makes the catch and falls. And that is the ball game. As Nunez comes in for his 20th save, as the Marlins come into Citi Field and take the first 2 games of this series from the New York Mets, as they stay very much in the hunt. 6-5 in Philadelphia. Marlins looking for help from Washington.
Well, Freddie Gonzalez, Keith, has his players playing hard. They got a nice pitched effort from Ricky Nolasco tonight. Ross's 3-run home run in the first against Pat Mish really was the difference as Pat settled down after that. Nunez with his 20th save and this 2-hour and 40-minute game. The Marlins go to 74-65 in the year. The Mets 62-77 with their 6-3 win here at Citi Field.
Brilliant running.